Renfield went on. I did not know that Mrs. Harker was here till she spoke, and she did not look the same. I don't care for the pale people. I like them with lots of blood in them, and hers all seemed to have run out. I didn't think of it at the time, but when she went away I began to think, and it made me mad to know that he had been taking the life out of her. So when he came tonight, I was ready for him. I saw the mist stealing in and grabbed it tight. I have heard that madmen have unnatural strength, and as I knew I was a madman, at times anyhow, I resolved to use my power. Aye, and he felt it too, for he had to come out of the mist to struggle with me. I held tight, and I thought I was going to win, for I didn't mean him to take any more of her life. Till I saw his eyes. They burned into me, and my strength became like water. He slipped through it, and when I tried to cling to him, he raised me up and flung me down. There was a red cloud before me, and a noise like thunder, and the mist seemed to steal away under the door. His voice was becoming fainter and his breath more stertorous. Van Helsing stood up instinctively. We know the worst now, he said. He is here, and we know his purpose. It may not be too late. Let us be armed, the same as we were the other night, but no lose to time. There is not an instant to spare. There was no need to put our fear, nay, our conviction into words. We shared them in common. We all hurried and took from our rooms the same things that we had when we entered the Count's house. The professor had his ready, and as we met in the corridor, he pointed to them significantly as he said, They never leave me, and they shall not till this unhappy business is over. Be wise also, my friends. It is no common enemy that we deal with, alas. Alas, that dear Madam Mina should suffer. He stopped. His voice was breaking. I do not know if rage or terror predominated in my own heart. Outside the Harker's door, we paused. Art and Quincy held back, and the latter said, Should we disturb her? We must, said Van Helsing grimly. This is life and death. If the door be locked, I shall break it in. Friend John, when I turn the handle, if the door does not open, do you put your shoulder down and shove. And you too, my friends, now! He turned the handle as he spoke, but the door did not yield. We threw ourselves against it. With a crash, it burst open, and we almost fell headlong into the room. The professor did actually fall, and I saw across him as he gathered himself up from hands and knees. What I saw appalled me. I felt my hair rise like bristles on the back of my neck, and my heart seemed to stand still. Dr. Seward's Diary. Welcome, my friends, to the Dracula Podcast. Welcome to the Dracula Podcast once again with Frank Stella, and with me once again is...
Zachary Hare.
How are you doing this week, Zach?
I'm doing fine. So, apologies to the fans for being late. We've been facing some technical difficulties here at Southgate Media.
I'm facing technical difficulties every day with this computer I have. Still can't get it to do what I want it to do, but we're managing. So yeah, we do apologize for the delay, but we're back and we're talking about episode number 8. And what were your initial thoughts here, Zach?
Well, actually, my first thought was Frank should be happy there's a lot more blood.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like I need to see blood in order to be interested, but with a vampire story, that's what you're expecting, and there was just so much politics last week, and it definitely got away from that more with this episode. So I thought it was a more enjoyable episode, all things figured in. There was less politics, it still played a part, but there was also a lot more personal stuff going on in the love lives of our characters.
Definitely. Do
we want to just, talk about the elephant in the room, or...
Go right ahead.
So we finally kind of got to a little bit more of a point from a literary standpoint with what they're doing with Lucy. Lucy is there, trying to split up Jonathan and Mina, which she really kind of did. So it almost seems like Lucy and Alexander, while they're not in communication with each other, they're kind of really going for the same thing and trying to split up Jonathan and Mina.
Do we think she's going to get turned?
I don't know how she would, because she's not really spending any time with Dracula or any other vampires. I mean, if it's just like a random thing that happens,
that'd be interesting. Maybe that she's not directly turned by him, but maybe one of the many that are already killed. Because as we've seen more and more. Now, there's one thing they haven't really addressed here, because we see in this episode, we already knew that more and more vampires are coming, but they actually said he called us here. It's like they're not exactly clear on how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's some kind of way he signals them or communicates telepathically.
Or if it's intentional. We don't even know if it's intentional. It could just be his presence attracting. We don't know.
I guess we don't. I guess I hadn't thought of it being unintentional. It seems to me like everything he's doing is pretty intentional, and it seems like he's expecting more and more vampires to pour into the city. But back to kind of that elephant in the room of what I was talking about, we really kind of did have that split up between Jonathan and Mina. Jonathan said to her, "We're done," and next thing you know, he goes and sleeps with Lucy.
Oh, he doesn't sleep till Lucy until he's killed a man.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, he went and shot, what was his name, Davenport?
Yeah. Kind of a weird sequence.
I suppose. I hope I never have a day like that.
Well, I wouldn't mind having half a day, like a day like half of that.
Well, not me. What? Okay, here's something, because I thought Lucy was a lesbian.
No, I think she's more like the Dracula's, Lady Weatherby. God, I hate when that happens. But yeah, I think she's like it's sex is a weapon. Like she can sleep with either sex and that kind of thing.
Okay, because I was thinking I would not sleep with a man to get to a woman. So
well, I don't know. That's just you, Frank.
that is just me, and I can only speak for myself. But I feel like if I were a lesbian, I would not sleep with a man.
Well, we knew she. Well, think of it. We knew she was in love with Mina. That doesn't necessarily mean she's not interested in men sexually.
I guess I'll never understand. I'm too close-minded.
That's okay.
For this.
That's okay, Frank. That's why you brought me.
For this Victorian.
That's why you brought me.
Well, great, Zach. Please sit me on your knee and tell me all about it.
And here you said you weren't.
Wow, this is going places tonight.
You started.
Okay. I know, but I'm curious. What can I say?
Okay. Oh, now you're doing it on purpose.
I'm sorry. Okay. Changing the subject. So, Davenport's dead. What is this going to mean for the Order?
Well, it's interesting because if they found out any of what he was doing, they probably would have killed him.
Maybe, but I'm just wondering, is this whole thing kind of collapsing because Alexander and or whoever, or by means of Alexander, keeps kind of taking out people of the Order, and he kind of keeps strategically targeting people. It's like, who do they have left at this point? Like, all of our main Order people who were there kind of in that first episode or first couple of episodes are kind of gone. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but I kind of feel like the ringleaders are starting to kind of just die off.
Like once they find out about Lady Weatherby been sleeping with him the whole time, if they find out he's the vampire and they're going to lose her too because they're going to try to kill her and she'll leave them probably.
They had a whole conversation about whether or not Dracula was actually in London or not, and they were talking about Jane getting them compelling proof.
Well, as we see at the end, she gets some. The guys that try to kill Mina get impaled.
So she says, "Hey, Vlad the Impaler, looky what we have
Vlad
here."
Vlad the Impaler.
Mm-hmm. So, now do you think that's compelling proof, or is that just?
I think it's enough to start to believe, and a guy like Browning starting to believe that can be a big thing.
Okay.
Because he was skeptical of her. He's like, Dracula.
So they've suspected Alexander of being a vampire. Now they're suspicious of the fact that Dracula is in London. Are they going to put two and two together?
Well, what's interesting is I could just be because we see it, but I guess we'll find out next episode if she does. But she has yet to tell them that the vampire said he walks in daylight. But I don't think she's put two and two together yet. Imagine if she because they said, oh, he's probably a vampire, but now we know he's not because he walks in daylight. But now the vampire said Dracula walks in daylight.
I guess that would turn the turntables again.
Do we think she's going to realize it before the Order and not tell them?
If she does, then she's going to have to pick her poison because eventually it's going to turn on her, whether she just decides to do nothing. I mean, eventually they're going to either find out or Dracula's just going to kill her, or she could try and kill Alexander. I don't see that working out so great for her, but she could try. And
maybe when she tries to kill him, he'll turn her.
I think I really see Jane becoming a vampire. That's like if I were I think I said this last week. If I were writing this show, that's like the way I would
that's what I would do with her, because that just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like the trajectory of the way the show is going. It just seems like it would be a twist, but I just see it happening. I don't know why. It just seems like that's what's going to happen.
Now, another thing we can talk about is how I think the Van Helsing Draco relationship, I think that's going to come to a head.
It's been coming to a head. I mean, they keep butting heads.
Yeah. Well, before
it
was just animosity, but now it's getting really something.
Yeah, but they still have that uniting factor of them both being against the Order. And do you think that they're going to, part ways or try and kill one another before actually...
That's why I brought it up. I'm not sure, because he was not supposed to kidnap the children. I'm pretty sure.
Well, we're going to have to see how they react. How many episodes do we have left here? 2?
I can look up as we're doing it. I'll look up it real quick. I wasn't sure of the exact number.
I'm pretty sure there's 10 altogether, and we just watched 8, so yeah, 9 and 10. What can they do in just 2 more episodes? I mean, I'm sure when they thought, okay, we're going to start off with 10 episodes, they're thinking hopefully there'll be more. But right now, we're not too sure yet if there's going to be a new season. So, I'm kind of going, is this going to leave us with any sense of closure?
I just really hope it gets picked up, and the shows I kind of like, or at least are interested in, get canceled and they end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean, those are the worst, especially for the, the hardcore fans.
I think it's got a good enough following to go for another season.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. I'm kind of split. I think the ratings have picked up a little bit from where they were maybe before took a break there for New Year's, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. And it kind of depends on how the producers want to pitch it to NBC and what they think they can promise. But I'm not sure. I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, for what we have right now with these last 2 episodes, can they put some kind of closure in there? Obviously, they're not going to kill Grayson or Dracula. Are we going to see... Who do we think is going to die? I feel like somebody's going to die before
someone's going to die and someone's going to get turned.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see Jonathan or Mina dying. I could see Lucy dying.
Or getting turned.
I could see either Lucy or Jane, one of them either dying or getting turned. I would imagine it's probably Jane getting turned, Lucy dying. So, do you see that?
Yeah, I definitely could see one of them. But here's more importantly, when is the vampire rat going to pop up?
Now, is it a vampire rat, or is it just a rat that came back to life?
Well, we haven't clear. All we saw was a foot twitch.
Yeah, so to me that doesn't...
They keep showing it and showing it. It's like, is something going to happen, or are you just showing the clip?
Yeah, usually when they go, it's like previously on Dracula, it shows you something that's going to be relevant to what you're about to see, but we haven't seen it come up again. Not sure what's going on there. Renfield's been interesting. He keeps saying the same thing over and over to Grayson, going, look, you either have to take her or leave her. Stop dancing with her.
Renfield stepped up his game this episode.
Can you believe that fight between Dracula and Renfield? That was pretty intense because, I mean, at the end of the day, Dracula's going to win in a fist fight against pretty much anybody.
Yeah, but it's like Renfield's like one of the few guys he'd hold back on.
Yes, and Renfield's no squirrel either.
No.
At least not in this rendition.
He is the king of Karth.
I don't know what that is.
It's from Thrones.
Mario Karth?
No. Oh, God, the Thrones fans are going to eviscerate you.
Let them. I probably have ticked off enough people already. Anyway.
But yeah, I love that because he finally convinced... Because Dracula, if he really wanted to, he could have blown right by him. But it's like, that's what a friend does. A friend lets you talk you out of something you know you're not supposed to do.
And friends have fights, too.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes those fights turn into even better friendships.
Don't worry, fans. The smackdown between me and Frank is coming soon enough.
Yeah, as soon as you're man enough to come out to Montana.
I'm man enough. I just don't want to come to Montana. Who the hell wants to go to Montana?
Not me.
This is what I'm saying.
No, I'll come to Boston. We'll have a little Boston tea party, and then a massacre, and then, yeah.
That just went away from you, didn't it?
Hey, you got to make your random references. Anyway.
All right. Now, but I thought that was one of my favorite moments.
The fist fight between them?
Yeah. Because he's just he could have okay, fine, but he just gets her and just grabs him and just throws. Oh man, that was a great moment.
It was pretty interesting. I kind of feel like it didn't go anywhere, though. That kind of feels like it was short-lived and then just kind of went like, okay, so you were saying what? And it was like, oh.
I thought that was believable.
It was believable, but you don't want to just only see believable things on TV. You want to see some blood.
Well, we had some this episode.
Yeah, we did. I was just referring specifically to the Renfield and Dracula scene, but
We're talking about Renfield. Do we think his character is going to be ever, because you're the fan of the book, is it ever going to be like the book, do we think?
no, not at all. Because in the book, Renfield is psychotic.
Right, but do we think maybe something will happen to him that will make him go crazy?
I don't think so. Renfield's a character in this adaptation, and you see a few people like this, who, honestly, his name doesn't need to be Renfield. They just gave him that name because it's a name that people associate with Dracula. But this Renfield character has absolutely no resemblance to Renfield from the book. Whereas there is resemblances with characters like Jonathan and Mina, who are engaged and then get married in the book. Lucy, who's Mina's best friend. Van Helsing's another guy who, honestly, his name doesn't need to be Van Helsing. There's no resemblance between him in the book and in the show other than maybe like his accent. But you get the sense that Van Helsing is a little bit older in the book, but he is the leader of the protagonists against the effort against Dracula. This is kind of a weird adaptation. I think I've said this before, but this is the first time I think that I know of that you ever see Van Helsing working with Dracula. It's kind of a classic thing to do, to have the whole forbidden love between Mina and Dracula, which is of course ridiculous in my opinion, but that's kind of what happens in almost every adaptation for whatever reason. And so there's that, but there's a lot of things that are new in this adaptation. Renfield and Van Helsing, like I've been saying, their names could be like Richard and Jacob. I mean, there's like no resemblance between them, their characters in the books.
Now, speaking of the forbidden love between Mina and Alexander, I think he's getting really close to, like he said it, you're mine and I'm yours. She was sleeping, but he still said it.
To Mina.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering what's his next move going to be. Is he going to actually make his move? I mean, apparently Jonathan and Mina are officially split up.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan's sleeping with Lucy. Now, here's something.
Yeah.
Do you think Lucy and Alexander are now going to be competitors for Mina?
That could be interesting.
I can't believe
maybe they can work out like a timeshare.
I can't believe I'm having this conversation. But you might have Dracula versus Lucy for who gets to date Mina.
The funny thing is, Dracula's the type, he'd probably be like, hey, come live with us.
What, to Lucy?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. This is horrid.
Yeah, we'll get through it. Now, can we talk about just one thing, because this is such a cliche. This has been done to death in fantasy, sci-fi, whatever. The character coming in and using his powers to rip apart the enemies, and the woman he doesn't want to know that he's not human, it just happens to be unconscious.
What scene are you referring to?
That's when she's on the operating table and they're about to torture her.
Right, okay. When else has this been done that you're thinking of?
No, I'm just talking about, like, it's I can't think of, it was done in, the most recent example I can think of, it was done once in Arrow, but I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but that has been done before, where, like, a better example, it's similar to when a character finds out who the main hero really is, and then gets amnesia, which they did every 2 minutes on Smallville. Okay.
To me, it's more the cliche of the warrior rescues the damsel in distress and then she faints.
Pretty much. That's what it's always been a play on that. It's like, oh, what, did you say anything? I was faint. I can't remember a thing. It's like you were half awake and people were screaming and getting thrown out of the place. Come on. Now they did pretty good on the effects this episode, like when they did the whole making the vampires ingest holy water.
That was pretty slick. Yeah, Jane didn't mess around there.
That must have been fun for the actors. I don't know how they did it, but it must have been fun for them.
I'm not a cinematographer, but that would have been some interesting scene to film. That's kind of your only role. It's like, Mom, I'm going to be on TV tonight. I had a stand-in. Oh, really? What happens? I ingest holy water and I fry to death. It'd be kind of fun.
Indeed.
So anything else happened this episode? We covered the basics. Jonathan and Mina split up. Lucy and Jonathan, Browning, or Davenport's dead.
Davenport's death. I was just like, oh god, it was just I didn't like that scene because it's like you tried to kill me, and it's like no, I didn't. It's like you are a horrible liar.
Yeah.
He was just like, no, boy, no. Hey, stop. Whoa, let's talk. It's like, did you just throw your acting out the door? What the hell just
well, he's British. He has to be polite.
Oh, that's right. But it's just like, I saw you, man. Oh, you must be mistaken. It's like, no. And what did he think nothing would happen? Like, oh, I don't know.
And it was interesting how he called out Grayson, though, and said, he's been in love with her since, he met her, and you're working for him. He's getting closer to you guys. You're having your engagement in his house. I mean, look at the way this is going. And it didn't seem like Jonathan wanted to listen. It was an awkward moment because when both Grayson and Jonathan were standing at Mina's bed, I'm pretty sure that was after Jonathan and Mina had broken up, right?
I think so.
And Grayson was upset at Harker. Harker was upset at Grayson, and they both, and they had just broken up. So I was like, there was this kind of really awkward tension in the air of like, okay, we all still care about Mina, but like we all kind of are at odds with each other. It was really weird.
No, it's just
weird
like
chemistry.
What was Davenport's end game? Like, didn't he like imagine if Jonathan find out after the fact and like he succeeded and pretty much killing, well, at least maiming Mina?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that thing of like the Green Goblin, first we attack his heart kind of a thing, or
well, he wasn't trying to go after John. I mean Jonathan.
Oh, I was thinking Grayson. Grayson is Davenport's enemy.
I know, but that's what I mean. He wasn't trying to go after, but still, Mina was Jonathan's fiance. He didn't even, and they were trying to recruit. That's another reason. If the Order, I want to see the Order's reaction when they find out. That I think the next episode we're gonna be like, oh, he's been trying to go after Grayson, da.
Yeah, it is. It's a mess, honestly. If you ask me, it's hard to follow everything.
It is, and it's if the show doesn't get picked up, that's gonna be why.
Right. I think the messiness of all these relationships and interests of all these different parties is throwing people off. I mean, maybe I'm just more simple-minded, but
no, I'm agree.
I think if you were to just have a little bit more basic of a story that didn't try and bite off more than it could chew, you'd have more viewer retention. I think I would be more excited about watching the show myself if it were. Again, I want them to stay as true to the book as possible, and of course that's thrown out the window. But the fact that they're making it kind of unwatchable doesn't help. It doesn't do it any favors.
We need to talk about the triptych.
And what do we need to say about that?
Okay, a couple of things. One, I wonder what's going to happen to it because Jonathan did not take it with him, which is weird.
Did he get a look at it, or did he shoot?
He did look at it.
Shoot it? Okay.
He shot Davenport, then looked at it.
Does anything need to happen to it at this point? Because it fell into the hands of the Order, or at least Davenport.
That's what I mean. Is the Order going to find it, or is someone else like? Because if someone else see, but here's the thing I should have mentioned first. There's one thing I really am confused by. Davenport finds the triptych, and it's Mina. He's in love with Mina, but the painting is hundreds of years old, isn't it?
Right.
So when did he go, this can't be Mina? No one said that.
Okay, the painting is hundreds of years old, and I think that was a portrait of Dracula's former wife.
It was, yes, exactly.
And I don't know who else was there for that whole like dance and Lady Jane. Everybody's kind of starting to figure out who Grayson loves at this point. I think multiple people are kind of calling him out on it and saying, okay, I know it's this person. You got Renfield telling him, look, you got to either do or die here. But Lady Jane caught on to it because watching them dance. And so, people are catching on. Jonathan is probably having his own suspicions at this point now, too. Mina's dad questioning him. I mean, almost everybody had a conversation with somebody about Alexander and Mina.
It's because everyone has eyes. Anyone could see from that.
And that includes Davenport, and he used the triptych to help figure that out.
I just think the age and no one questioning that, it just bugs me. They don't know he's Dracula. Davenport never went, this painting is hundreds of years old, and yet it looks like someone currently alive.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless they are suspecting that Dracula is Alexander.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I wonder if the Order finds the triptych, will they make the connection, even though Davenport, who's apparently an idiot, didn't?
Time will tell. We got 2 episodes, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. In the meantime, we'd love to hear your theories.
Definitely.
We are on social media. We're on email, draculapodcast@gmail.com, or the Dracula Podcast with Frank Stella on Facebook, or you can find us on Twitter. I believe we are at Dracula Podcast, I think.
If there's a season 2, we got to modify the name of the Facebook.
We'll see about that, Zach. We'll see about that.
Oh, you and your ego.
He comes and he goes.
Yeah. Go. But I'm worried about the show because I do like parts of it. And the actors are good, but I'm saying this show has potential. But if they don't find their footing, which obviously they're not going to in the next 2 episodes, if this show doesn't get a second, I think with a second season, it could find its focus, but if they don't get its chance, they're not going to get its chance.
I thought this show had potential when I saw the headline, NBC to do Dracula series. I clicked on it, read the synopsis, and went, I hate this already.
Oh, you're just picky.
Yeah, I'm picky. I'm picky because I'm picky about quality. Hey, Zach, we'll talk again next week, and I hope that everyone will tune in once again. Not tune in. I'm a radio guy.
I think we can still say tune in. They know what we mean, downloading and all that.
Yeah, tune in to the internet.
Let's get a shirt that says that.
All right, well, thanks so much for listening in this week. Zach, we'll talk again in another week, I hope. Maybe less than that because we started this late. Hey, until next time, listen to the podcasters of the night.
And the speeches they make. Blah, blah.